and then we're going to go to you. 6, 5, 4.
Good afternoon.
Hold on.
Good afternoon, and welcome to CBP Travel Chat. My name is Rhonda Lawson, and I'm a branch chief with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Office of Public Affairs. Joining me are members of CBP's travel team: Matt Suarez, Acting Director of Field Operations for the Baltimore Field Office; Lalita Policetti, Senior Agriculture Manager with CBP's Agriculture Programs and Trade Liaison Office; and Christina Luna, Branch Chief with CBP's Trusted Traveler Programs. Memorial Day is past, and we are now in the midst of the summer travel season. The United States is also preparing to welcome global visitors this summer for the FIFA Club World Cup 2025. So we are in for a very busy summer. If you're planning an international trip this summer, listen in as our panel discusses ways to help streamline the customs process when entering the United States. So first, I'd like to start with Ms. Luna. Can you talk to me a bit about the Trusted Traveler programs?
Yes, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. I'm happy to be here and happy to discuss some new fun ways to learn, before all these mega events that are coming.
Yes.
So CBP offers many programs that actually really balance convenience and security pretty well, such as the Trusted Traveler programs. Global Entry is one of our air environment programs that is very popular, and it's a program that allows you to really have a pre-approved low-risk travelers are able to have their dedicated line, so it's a very big convenience for all these long lines that are coming up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just a great way to have convenience and kind of peace of mind when you're traveling, which is really important. So that's a great program that's available out there.
Well, as a Global Entry member myself, I thank you for this service.
I'm glad. I am as well. I love it myself.
Absolutely. So, Ms. Policetti, what I like to think of when I think of CBP's agriculture program are the unsung heroes. They're the unseen people who really protect our borders without us realizing it. So can you talk a bit about that program?
Yeah. As agriculture specialists, our main job is to inspect fresh produce, animal and plant products that are coming through our borders. We do this to prevent any foreign pests and diseases. I would like to think of ourselves as they have the guns and we have the microscopes.
Yes.
Nice.
I like that.
True partnership. I like that.
True.
And Mr. Suarez, you are the acting director for the Baltimore Field Office. You guys are probably going to be playing a big role in entry as well, not just at the airports, but also possibly with cargo.
Yeah, so the Baltimore Field Office covers the Mid-Atlantic region, Pennsylvania, Southern New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, D.C., Virginia, and West Virginia. Almost 1,100 people, 4 area ports of entry, and with significant airports, predominantly in Washington Dulles, Baltimore Washington International Airport, and Philadelphia, and then large seaports in Philadelphia, Wilmington, Delaware, Baltimore, and Norfolk, Virginia. So we have not only a high number of passengers coming in that's about to really go through the roof, so to speak, as we reach the summer travel season, but we also have a high amount of cargo coming in, mostly in the maritime environment, but a fair amount also in the air environment through traditional air cargo and express consignment. So a lot going on. We also, obviously encompass the National Capital Region, so there's diversity in our mission set, having that proximity, in that we are probably by population, we are the second largest field office in the United States. After probably about Chicago, so that's pushing 30 million people that live within our area of responsibility. So a lot going on, and we have the most Super Bowl wins.
And that's very important to note.
That's right.
Well, I will say you mentioned a large number of people coming into the United States. This summer is going to be extra busy. We talked a bit about the FIFA Club World Cup, and that's a huge event in and of itself. And then next year we have the FIFA World Cup. So we're looking at probably 6 to 15 million extra people coming in. So what do people need to do to prepare for that influx of traffic at our borders?
Yeah, I would say from our perspective, from the operational side, if you are eligible for any form of trusted traveler program, you should definitely take that opportunity. I mean, it is a great benefit. I myself am a global entry member, and for low risk travelers, obviously all U.S. citizens, but many of our partner countries can enroll in that. So you're really yes, it's a benefit to us because we want to focus on the high risk travelers, identify them, and either refuse or arrest them if needed or seize any contraband. But the low risk travelers, we want to move through as quick as possible. So the best thing that you can do is get yourself in one of those programs. Read up, do a little bit of research, and just take a little initiative, whether it's global entry, mobile passport control, and a variety of other opportunities we have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if I may add, so we're keeping busy in preparation for this, right? We're not just waiting for this influx. We're making sure that we're doing things like this, which is just targeted outreach and public outreach working together just to get that information on all those frequently asked questions out there before they travel. So education campaigns are huge. And another thing is we're really coordinating very well with our domestic and international partners. A lot of people don't know that Global Entry has 20 different partner countries, which means 20 different countries and citizenships are eligible to apply for our Trusted Traveler program. So it's not just for U.S. citizens or U.S. lawful permanent residents. We also have these visitors coming in. As long as you're willing to do your due diligence, go online to our website. Make sure that you pick the program that is right for you. But if global entry is appropriate and fits for your convenience, then you apply online. You do have to conduct a background investigation, so that does ensure that you trust us with that data and that information, and we take that very seriously. And we encrypt our data, and it's very important to us. After you're vetted, you're conditionally approved, and then you're able to go to an in-person interview. And this private partnership that we're doing, specifically with our airport authorities, has been fantastic. Our great relationships with them have allowed us to expand our interview options. So it's not just at an airport now. As much as I love going and driving to an airport on a Saturday, I know I don't. So we've listened to the public, and we really care about making this convenient. So our partners at the airport have allowed us to expand at different options, like enrollment on departure. So right next to a Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or something, right?
Yes.
There could be a pop-up. So even when you're not in the international terminal, you still could do an interview. And then enrollment on arrival is a great option. So when you're coming back home from travel, if you're a U.S. citizen or you're just visiting in the U.S. and you got that trip, already set to go, when you land in the U.S., you can actually conduct and enroll on arrival. And that's a really convenient way. So we're preparing, and we just encourage everybody to apply now, early, before the mad rush of everybody.
Now, I'm glad that you mentioned enrollment on departure and enrollment on arrival. If we can talk a little bit more about that, because often, as a public affairs officer, I often hear people who are waiting to get that interview so they can be fully enrolled, and they say they can't get an appointment because it's very hard to get an appointment. It's a very popular program. And so the enrollment on departure programs, as well as the enrollment on arrival programs, it really helps to get more people fully enrolled. So, and it doesn't take much more time than going through the regular customs line.
Yeah, exactly. So, right, there's just options because not everybody, one option is not going to be right for everybody. So I like more options the better, especially
Yes.
for families that are traveling, making it convenient for them. So if you want a scheduled appointment, and you are a very scheduled person that likes calendars, then an enrollment center, the traditional way, is definitely the person for you, is definitely the environment for you. You just log into your Trusted Traveler profile, you're able to select the airport that's nearest to you, and the enrollment centers are all at our major airports, and you have a dedicated time, and it tells you exactly what to bring, your directions. It's very secure there. But then we also have ones that are a little bit more flexible, right? Like enrollment on arrival. You just land, there's no appointment needed. You just go into the global entry signs. You'll see big, nice advertisement for enrollment on arrival. We call it EOA. And you just, you already have your passport and your documents ready, so it's a really
Makes it
convenient
very
time.
quick.
You already have your children probably there with you, so that's, again, that convenience. And then we've also expanded to a few other locations that are non-traditional, like enrollment on embarkation, so cruise ship terminals, right? If anybody's going on a cruise, CBP just happens to be there to enroll. So that's really nice options. And then again, that's all when you're trying to finalize your membership. Once you have your membership, we have great technology on Primary now. You can use a traditional portal, which is what we like to call a kiosk, right? You stand up and it takes your photograph. But also now, even those lines can get a little long. We have 15, almost 16 million members.
Well, I'd like to jump in on that because I've used that portal before, and it was so much faster than I thought it would be. So I was still trying to do it the old way and fill out that little declaration paper that they give you on the plane, and I wasn't done with it. So I was letting people walk in front of me because I thought it was going to take me a while. And then I go up, and then before I could even really look, it's already taken my picture, and I've gone right over to the customs officer. I'm like, I was through customs so quickly. It took me longer to get my bags
I know,
than
right?
it took for me to actually get through the process.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, right? Nowadays.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the app is another great way. It's a free mobile app. You just go right onto the App Store and you just download the Global Entry app. And what that does is when you land in the airport and you're waiting to exit off, and sometimes that can be annoying, right? Just to wait to get off that plane. That's a way that you can connect to Wi-Fi, and you just take your own selfie. You can actually take up to 15 people on your one profile in one app, and then you kind of skip the line over that traditional, portal photo capture on the Global Entry primary lanes, and then you just go right to the, mission. It's really, really nice, fast way. You do no more customs deck. Remember those old ones?
Yeah,
we are all
that
electronic
slip,
now.
That slip is the devil, I'll tell you. All right, so Ms. Policetti, I did want to talk with you because often, and I've spent time with many of our officers at the airport as they're inspecting passengers, and there are some planes that they know there's going to be a lot of stuff on just because of where it's coming from. So,
Yeah.
You have people who want to bring food in from the country that they visited, or maybe they want to bring food in from their home country, so they can have food that they're familiar with eating. But unfortunately, a lot of that food can't come into the United States.
Yeah. Like going off of what they were talking about, like when you prepare for documents, when you travel, that's one of the most important things. Obviously, you want proper documents, you want your clothes, but the next most important thing, especially I travel with kids, is you pack snacks for your kids. You pack food because you don't want to go too long.
Yes.
And my best tip for if you're traveling, coming back home to America, or you're coming to visit here, or you're coming for the FIFA, is to not bring in any fresh fruits, vegetables, any the salamis, the prosciuttos. Unfortunately, they are not allowed to enter due to the risk of exposure or introduction of disease to our country. But there's a lot of items that you can bring, which is snacks, dry fruits. You could bring chips or chocolates, cheeses. So go to our website, know before you go. It lists out all the enterable items, and that will save you time and save you time in the airport, and you can still have some of the food. But unfortunately, we do regulate very strictly what cannot come into this country.
So that's a great segue into one of the first questions that we got in the Facebook chat. The question was, and I think you kind of answered it, but I'd love for you to expand on it a little bit more. How do we figure out what we can bring into the country food-wise? We are leaving the United States and going to Canada in July, and we'll be gone for 12 to 15 days and returning to the United States. We're unsure of what kinds of foods to have before we go and after we return.
So for before you go, the regulations fall to the country that you're entering. So when you're entering Canada, you're going to fall under Canadian regulation of what they allow as far as food and fruits and what's enterable and not. As far as we're concerned, you can take out whatever you want to take out. Where CBP comes in is what you can bring in when you come back home. And like I already said, fresh fruits, vegetables for most countries are not allowed on entry. Canada, being our trading partner, we do have certain exceptions. We do allow certain fruits seasonally. But to be on the safe side, I would say leave the fresh fruits and vegetables and meats in Canada, enjoy them there, and then not bring that across it. And if you have any fruits and vegetables, any food on you, we require that you declare to the officer and a CBP agriculture specialist like myself.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because we do, every once in a while we get questions as to, I just accidentally brought my apple or my banana off of the plane and I was sent to secondary.
And my best tip for that is leave it on the plane. If the plane has given you any fresh fruits, if you haven't finished it, leave it on the plane. We have regulated garbage protocols that CBP agriculture specialists oversee for international garbage that comes in, and it's disposed of in a specific way. So it's safe for you to leave it on the plane and not bring it with you when you deplane.
Yeah,
Great
and if I
point.
may add to that, right?
Yeah.
So one portion of this is definitely knowing before you go. It's education, right? Doing your due diligence as a traveler. But the second is stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget and we get busy, and CBP understands that. But when you arrive into the primary lanes and you're speaking or interacting, or you're on the app, there's questions that you do need to read, and you need to abide by those questions, right? We don't expect you to know anything, but we expect you to answer our questions very honestly. So for the global entry trusted traveler programs, it's all about trust, right? So understanding the restrictions, but beyond civil, penalties that can be imposed, besides the seizure of that good, meaning it's not going to come in, right? We need to protect our produce and our country. And then also you can also be revoked, right? Through global
Yeah.
entry programs. So it does have lasting purpose. So the best thing
Yeah.
to do is know before you go, or just be honest, right? Just say, I'm not sure what this is, but I did receive some food. Can I show you, right? That
Right.
communication will go a long way.
I've done that. It hurt my feelings to do it. When I used to come from Europe, I used to like to bring my chocolate, and I was like, and I tell the person, okay, I have chocolate, I have a bottle of wine. Am I okay to bring
please
this
don't-
in?
please don't
take it.
Please don't take it.
Good news is that is allowed.
Yeah.
But even if you bring in something declared, like Christine said, if you don't, unfortunately, that can involve fines and revocation of your global entry or any other program that you're part of.
Mr. Suarez, is there something you'd like to add?
No, I think they hit the nail on the head. Be honest. We have the Beagle Brigades at those are principally at airports, searching their passengers' bags. So we understand that people forget sometimes. They put it in there, and I've been there. The best of intention. Yeah, I'm going to eat this banana and get my potassium in today. And well, 8 hours
I get
later,
hangry,
to-
you know?
10 hours later, and you're like, oh. So be honest. Cooperate with the agriculture specialists. And we're doing this for your best interest. The economic impact, if dangerous pests get into our food supply, is it's devastating. So it's not just economic; it's national security too. So this is why we do this.
Great point. Now, we did have another question come in. This person says, I'm going on a cruise soon. Are there global entry kiosks at cruise ship terminals?
Yeah, that's a great question. So every terminal is going to be a little different, right? So that knowing before you go is going to be really crucial. And we do have some information on that website. But yeah, the best thing to do is just ask when you're over there. The signage is really clear and good, but please make sure to feel free to ask for a supervisor and just communicate. We do have some liaisons that help CBP officers as well. So I would say just make sure that you look for the signs and have all your documents ready. And again, there's all these great programs like Enroll and Embarkation and everything. Our website will have the state-of-the-art and most up-to-date information to that specific airport or terminal that you're traveling to.
Now, we talked about global entry in the cruise environment and the air environment. What if I'm driving over the border?
Yeah, that's a great question. And why not, right? If you're coming from abroad, what a great way to kind of go West Coast, East Coast, or north to south. We love this, right? Tourism is money for our government and for our country, but you need to know how to get there a little bit smoother. So Trusted Traveler Programs is 4 different programs. We do have SENTRI, which is along our southern border that allows you to enter these dedicated vehicle lanes and pedestrian lanes. So you can just walk over to Mexico, walk back in, and these lines can be very long traditionally, right? Especially during these busy seasons. So having that SENTRI card is crucial. And then we also have the NEXUS program, which is our northern border, and that actually it's a little different. It actually allows you to enter Canada faster as well. These programs do require some coordination and some application processes to be vetted by Canadian officials as well. So again, just make sure that you're eligible. Make sure that you're picking and selecting the right program that is going to make your life easier. But there's a lot of programs that CBP has to offer.
Wonderful. Now, I do have a question for you, Mr. Suarez. A question came in: can green card holders travel abroad?
Yes, absolutely, and that's there. So, when you return, I mean, again, in terms of you're departing the United States, that's something in terms of immigration status. We don't tend to regulate as much. We don't have departure control and passport control at departure. So, you do that just upon return. You'll need to have a valid I-551, also known as a green card, upon reentry, and that alone is enough to reenter the United States. As long as you have no criminal history or anything to that effect, you should be able to process through quickly. If you have criminal history, then that's something that we'll have to look into further. So you may want to consult an attorney, maybe, if you have that situation.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I think you make a good point on that.
Yeah.
On that same subject, We have another question that just came in. This question is about how long it takes to get a passport. And so our friends at the State Department saw this question and they actually gave us a response. And then I'd love for you to maybe capitalize on that a little bit. But the question is, how long does it take to get a passport? And the answer is from travel.state.gov. The current processing time is 4 to 6 weeks for routine processing and 2 to 3 weeks for expedited processing. With online passport renewal, many adults are now eligible to renew their passports entirely online if they go to travel.state.gov/renew online so they can see if they qualify. Now, we know that right now that's the routine processing and expedited processing. But as we just mentioned, there are probably going to be a lot of people traveling this summer and next summer as we welcome global visitors in. So what would you suggest people do to try to streamline that process?
I mean, in terms of U.S. citizens or all?
Well, I guess a little bit of both. U.S. citizens, and then we have the dual passports, and I know a lot of this has to be addressed by Department of State, and they were good enough to give us the website that they should go to. But I'm also thinking about, let's say, visa waiver program.
Yeah,
well.
I mean, so the best thing is to go on there and make sure that you have a compliant passport. When U.S. citizens coming back to the United States are U.S. citizens and they have the right to be here, so they will be able to enter the United States. But they may, if they don't have their documents or the proper documents, they may have to go through further secondary inspection. Visa waiver travelers quite possibly won't even be able to get on the plane because they need to have an approved ESTA. If they don't have the right document, the ESTA may not be able to be approved. Now, there are a lot of instances where people forget or they don't do it. They get to the airport, the airline's like, go step to the side, get out your phone, apply, and usually it comes back pretty quickly. Even though they have, I think, up to 72 hours to approve your application, so I wouldn't wait until you get to the airport. Get that put in for that ESTA approval well in advance. They're good for like 2 years. They're not that expensive, so just get that done on there. But make sure you go, again, information is key here. Go online, make sure that you have a compliant document. Or you're on there, leverage the mobile apps, fill out that information. Yes. If you're in a global entry country, sometimes. And I'll be honest, I mean, I just renewed mine, and it didn't cost me anything because my credit card deleted the charge, right? So if you have a travel card, a lot of them give you that benefit, so it's worth looking into. My daughter was still a minor when we applied, so hers was free. So we both have global entry, valid until 2030, and it didn't cost us a penny. So.
Yeah, if I may add to that, so global entry is also another benefit, right, that these global travelers can apply to. And we do have a couple of new changes, one of which was just stated that minors 18 years and under, they're going to be free as long as that parent or guardian has applied for or is already a part of that Trusted Traveler Network. So that's huge. And then we also do have loyalty programs. There's a lot of credit cards out there. Please do your research and make sure that you
it's important to note that we're not going to speak for any one credit card company. You have to do your own research.
Of course.
But the information's out there. We want people to take advantage of what is out there. So it's just about that information. Go on our website, Google it, free search, and that's a great way. I know that I don't want to pay for everybody in my family, right? It can be expensive, especially if it's just a one, Christmas kind of flight. But these programs exist, and these credit cards have done a great job at, rewarding their loyalty program members by reimbursing for global entry and stuff like that. So a lot of good options.
That's awesome.
That's have some form of an itinerary there. I just from my time, I mean, some years back working primary line, I mean, when we have non-U.S. citizen visitors, foreign nationals coming, and they have no idea where they're going to go and stay, I'm going to be honest, that raises a red flag, and that's going to cause you delay. So have a plan, have an idea on a hotel, that kind of thing. It's when you're like, oh, I'm just going to go, like Jack Kerouac type style, like,
to be young and wing it, right? I mean, man.
No, this is not, we're well into the 21st century, post the 9/11 era, all kinds of things. There's no winging it when it comes to international travel. Have a plan, have an itinerary, know what you're doing and why you're here.
Absolutely. And I have seen that myself where somebody traveled hours to get here to the United States, and they said that we're only going to be here overnight.
Something doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. I mean, and that happens too. I mean, sometimes if they're in transit to like Mexico or South America, this is the best way. Miami's like the gateway to there, but have what's your onward flight, right?
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, we'll figure it out. That's not going to help you.
I did have another question come in. What is the difference between global entry and mobile passport control?
Yeah.
Because mobile passport control is a great program that doesn't cost a penny. And I've had some people email us at the Public Affairs Office and say, well, why do I need global entry if I can just use this free app? So what's the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, right? And it's, again, giving travelers options. These programs are going to be citizenship-specific, right? So global entry, U.S. citizens, U.S. lawful permanent residents, and then 20 specific partner agreements with certain countries. So for mobile passport control, it has a different eligibility requirement that probably Matt could explain on a little bit further. But the difference is really for global entry that I can speak for, you're giving us the information, you're undergoing some kind of a security background check. We do capture biometrics as well to verify that you are the person that you are, and that allows us that trust in us. It allows us to use the state-of-the-art technology like these apps and the portals that you really just have to stand in front of a machine, takes your photo, we match it to the photo that you already provided to us, and that's it. The TSA PreCheck benefit is also a nice one, and these are guaranteed dedicated lines where I know mobile passport control may not be everywhere, it may not be as I don't want to say, as quick, but traditionally, right, just as quick, just based on the burden for all the officer administrative work is removed with this technology for trusted travelers. So it's by default
certain
faster.
airports have a global entry line, they have a mobile passport control line, and then they have the regular line. So you have, I know especially going into Dulles, you have those options if you're a global entry member. Mrs. Suarez, did you want to add something?
Well, I mean, so yeah, I guess it's kind of what you pay for, right? So like there's like 20 global entry kiosks there, and there's just one NPC line. NPC is mostly for U.S. citizens and lets you answer all the questions in advance, upload any documents, your images. So it's the electronic side of it. When you get up, you're more prepared to go in front of the officer and go through your clearance. So whereas global entry, you're known to us, you're trusted, and we're just basically verifying that you are who you are. An officer still has the authority to stop and talk to you, but in many instances, they're able to just kind of wave you through. You talked about all the imaging and stuff that we're testing out there. We're working towards where the officers just have a tablet, and they'll talk to you if they want to, right? But if they're verifying you as you're moving along, and they'll just keep you walking at a steady pace or something like that. So getting through CBP will be a breeze. It's just now the bags are another issue.
Yeah, sure.
We can't control everything.
No, that's the airport authority.
So going back to you, Ms. Luna, question: what can a citizen of Mexico apply for a global entry card or global entry membership instead of SENTRI?
So I want to make sure that we're clear about the citizenship specifics. Everybody, it's a little, it can get complicated and confusing. The best thing to do is go right to the website, right? Because if you are a Mexican citizen but also are a U.S. lawful permanent resident, that changes the game a little bit, right? So we want to make sure that the information is clear. All of our programs are very nicely organized on our webpage, and you can answer the questions one by one that will actually help guide you, pick and select the appropriate program for you. And again, this gets a little more complicated with visas that allow you to stay, like student visas, right? I'm permanently legally residing here, but am I a permanent resident? So again, go to the website directly. But yes, we do have global entry benefits allow you to use the SENTRI lane. SENTRI members, approved members, are also potentially eligible if they have those proper documents, and citizenship requirement allows you to use the global entry. So there's some reciprocity there, but make sure you do your due diligence and apply for the appropriate program by going on our website to verify.
Absolutely. Now, Ms. Policetti, I've got to go back to agriculture just for a second because, like I said, this is one of my favorite programs within CBP. What are some of the most unusual things? And because I really want the American public who's watching us to understand how important this program is. I have seen some of the things that were basically held back. They were not allowed to come through. Yeah. And I've seen things from like animal skulls to birds' nests.
Yeah, we have people smuggling in actual live birds on their person. We've seen suitcases full of bones and blood. We've seen vials of chemicals come through. Like you said, we've seen, when people go on safari, they pick up bones and just think that you can bring it back as a trophy that aren't processed. So we've seen some very gnarly stuff open in people's bags. We also have, I think sometimes you've seen those viral videos of we're opening a bag and maggots fall out and worms fall out because people don't realize if you do put food in your bag in 100-degree heat in the back of the plane, it's going to go bad really fast. So yeah, I think most agriculture specialists can tell you crazy stories about what they found. I found, a chest of, I opened it and it was just blood and carcasses of animals inside. And the person said that it was part of a ritual that they were going to do. But yeah, that kind of scared me when I opened that and pulled that out. So there's a lot of interesting things you find. And sometimes, it's helped me learn a lot of new foods and, new items from all over the world. So it was really interesting to be on the field and kind of see all that. And what people eat, and some of the stuff smells really good too, but I felt bad taking it. But yeah, so we see all kinds of stuff at the ports of entry.
I can imagine. Okay, so we just actually got another question in. The CBP plan to expand the global entry portals?
Yes, absolutely. So we're constantly looking at new technology. The portals are have fully replaced our kiosks that were mentioned earlier, and the portals are very fast and very nice, right? You just absolutely stand in front of it, takes that photograph of you, and it's just red light, green light. I even have stood there being like, is there anything else? How could it possibly be this quick? The app is another great way. So yes, we're constantly trying out and piloting all these new technologies. The good thing about this is a fee-based program, so we are investing in our technology to make sure that we're balancing security with this facilitation of legitimate trade and travel.
Gotcha. Now I do want to mention, because I know you talked about the apps quite a bit. We talked actually about a few apps. I think we talked about the ESTA app, the Global Entry app, the Mobile Passport Control. All of these apps can be downloaded free from either the Apple or the Google Play stores. So it's very simple to find those apps and then download them to your phone. So I did want to make sure that people knew that. But did just get another question, because there's also a way to check border wait times. And we just got a question asking, they said the borders always seem busy when they travel into the United States. Is there a way to see the wait times before they leave?
I mean, you can see the historical ones. I mean, obviously we won't know for that day, so you can do it. There's information going back to the previous year, so you could compare. I wouldn't compare, May to March or June, to January. They're different travel times because obviously the summertime, the holidays, people come more. So if you want to get a good idea of what it will look like at your time of travel, go back to that month, that week in the previous year. But we will be pretty busy. It'll start picking up now that we're past Memorial Day and school's letting out, and all the way through about the mid of September. So if you want to see, if you want to get a good idea, I recommend looking at the historical ones, and then you can go to the CBP Gov website where we have all this stuff, and you can see the more recent ones. But the best recommendation to get an idea of what you may encounter is to look back from a year ago.
Okay, that makes sense, because it at least gives you an idea of what time of day you might want to come through versus another. And then people could they also go to the website to see what times certain POEs, ports of entry, are open? Because I know some of them have different times.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So that would be in a land border scenario where you'd want to be more monitoring that.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, I mean, the flight, if you book the flight, the airline and CBP work it out that they'll bring that flight in within our hours of operation. So I wouldn't, if you're flying in or taking a vessel, a cruise ship, I wouldn't worry about that. That's been worked out between the carrier and us. Even if it's running late, we have protocols to handle late arrivals. Land border is where you'd be best to just double check that some of the smaller ports of entry close at certain times.
Okay. Now we just got another question, Ms. Policetti, and this is just for you. The question was, why is my rice taken, and what is the risk from a dried grain? Also, why were my eggs taken? They're just eggs.
So for the rice, that's a good question. Most people don't realize why we take some of the dry items or uncooked items. Rice contains a specific pest that we're looking for. It's called the copra beetle, and it's a grain pest, and it's devastating to crops. It's highly invasive. So when we take rice from passengers, that's specifically rice, we're looking for the copra beetle. They actually stay in the burlap sack that most rice is stored in, and there are certain countries that are endemic. And since most most rice comes from India, so even if you're not coming straight from India, you might have rice that is coming from one of those copra beetle countries where the insect is local to their local to that country. And so those are hitchhiking pests that are so small that you probably can't see it. But like I said, we have microscopes and we have training, and we can detect those pests in those grains. So that's probably why we took the rice. And the other question was the eggs.
Yes, the eggs.
The eggs are also due to the risk of introduction of animal diseases. I mean, we've all seen the news and we've seen how the cost of eggs went sky high because of the introduction of an animal disease into this country. And those are the reasons why we take eggs to prevent introduction of Newcastle disease, to prevent the introduction of highly pathogenic avian influenza. And this is not only a risk to our poultry, it can be also a risk to human beings, as now these viruses can mutate and jump species.
Yes.
So unfortunately, these are many reasons, very important reasons of why we're taking the agriculture items that you're bringing in.
Yeah, I've actually seen some cases where certain bugs. First of all, the agriculture specialists do an amazing job, and many of them are so young. It always amazes me that these young people. You know, I'm 52, so I'll call them kids. These kids are protecting our borders, but it's always amazing to me the things that they catch, because many of them may not be able to be seen with the naked eye.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of the ag specialists are regulating pharmaceuticals, biological materials, things that you don't think about, like grain pests, even wood pallets that come into cargo. People don't realize they are very invasive species burrowed inside of that wood. And the ag specialists we're literally taking hammers and chisels and breaking that wood down to find these pests, and we have training to locate where the insect holes are. So yeah, insects and pests can be in places that you can't tell. It could be in your salad. I mean, like, if you don't realize, now that I can see it, I can't stop seeing it. And flowers, yeah.
Yeah, I know Mother's Day and Valentine's Day are two big flower.
That's our busiest.
Yes.
Our busiest time of
But
year.
what about people who maybe have gone to, I'll just say Mexico. It doesn't just have to be Mexico. It could be any country. And they want to bring flowers home. And those flowers may not be able to go through, or maybe they're going to the Netherlands where the beautiful tulips are, and they want to bring some of those seeds home.
Yeah, for the tulips, there's one type of seed tulip bulbs that we do allow that has a stamp on it, and it has to be within the time frame that it says it's not expired. It's a valid stamp that's put on those, and it should be not opened, sealed. And those are very specific vendors that you can buy that from. I would definitely highly recommend researching that before you purchase. And as far as fresh flowers, more than likely, definitely declare that you're bringing in fresh flowers. An agriculture specialist will inspect your flowers. If they are free, if there are any pests within your flowers, again, the thrips, which sometimes are inside the flower, the bulbs, are so small that you can't see them. And I have shown it to passengers, and they're like, they did not know that they were holding a pest this whole time. So yeah, people don't realize, and unfortunately at that point we would have to take it, and that's why it's not allowed. When it comes through commercial processes, they've been treated, they've been inspected, and they have permits to bring those in. So the regulations are slightly different when things are coming in commercially.
Makes
and
sense.
I get those questions too, be like, I can buy this salami at the store, and why can't I bring it in? Because the ones that came through the store had permits and were
They've
checked.
already been inspected.
They've already been
Yes.
inspected and made sure that it was free from disease, and we can't unfortunately do that for every single person bringing it from whatever store you bought it from, where you traveled. So
Right. Now,
Where's
we've
your
talked
money?
about declaring food, but many people may not realize that they also have to declare money. If they're traveling with a certain amount of money, they need to declare that. They have to disclose that, or else it's taken. So the question that came in is, why do I have to declare my money, and what do you even do with it when you take it?
So,
Party?
so this is, it's required by law for you to declare bringing in more than $10,000 in cash or bearer form. So that there's different instruments in there. This is common reporting of financial transactions worldwide. $10,000 is a somewhat international standard. I've worked in other countries for CBP, and they adhere to that same one. The European Union countries tend to stick to 10,000 euros because it's a nice round number. So we're trying to this reporting in an effort of transparency and the prevention of transnational organized crime and the funding of terrorism. So this is what we do. There's a lot of different laws behind there and governing it. It's really a simple process. It's just a quick form. You can get them online. You can print them out and fill them out in advance. Many travelers do. So again, it's $10,000 per, if you're a single traveler, or per family unit, right? So if you exceed $10,000, you need to report that to a CBP officer upon arrival.
So you mentioned per family unit. So that means if, let's say, a family of 5 is traveling, it needs to be $10,000 amongst all of them?
Yeah, if they exceed $10,000 in cash or bearer form, then they will need to report that as a family unit or as a household. So
Makes a lot of sense.
That's, you get into the complexities, but that's to avoid, those laws are in place to avoid structuring, so that people who are trying to commit illicit activity and smuggle currency in, so that they can't break it down and give it, oh, well, I only have 9,000. I only have 9,000. No, that's not how that works, right? For that, as far as that information is kept secure and private, I can assure you of that. The money is not taken. You are free to bring in whatever quantity of money you want as long as you declare it. It's when a person or a family unit or household unit fails to declare that we will seize that money. So if you're above board, straight up, follow the rules, you got nothing to worry about.
And unfortunately, I think that there are people probably getting some bad information, like don't tell them you have $20,000 because they're going to take it away from you. So only tell them you have 4,000 or something like that.
Yeah, we routinely get that, and I mean, I think that in many cases we explain the rules and give you a chance to, be honest with us, and that's when there's an overt act of deception is when people wind up usually getting their money seized or getting penalized or having adverse consequences. In some cases, refused admission, and in other cases, arrested.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Another question has come in, and this is right back to you, Mrs. Flores. All right. The question is, kindly explain the difference between a pre-clearance processing and a regular port of entry processing.
So, pre-clearance is just that. It's clearing you in advance. You're not fully admitted into the United States until you arrive and depart the airport. So port of entry is the full admission. We have our full authorities. Ports of entry are only within the United States, and you can come into the United States. Pre-clearance is something that is set up in countries outside of the United States, in coordination and with agreements with those countries' governments to clear passengers bound for the United States in advance. So that it's cleared. That means that you appear good to go and that you are admissible to the United States. Now, you could land in the United States, and if new information came up of a derogatory nature, making you inadmissible or having contraband, we still have the right to inspect you. So this is done as an enabler and facilitation. The largest amount are in Canada. So it's just to kind of move things along, get things there, and then upon arrival, if you are in violation of any law, you can expect to go and get your bags and go on to your destination.
And may I add that global entry kiosks, portals, I'm even getting mixed up on the lingo, excuse me. Our portals and the app is available at even our pre-clearance location. So this is important it mirrors an exact replica, right, of a U.S. port of entry. It just happens to be in a different country, just to make it a little easier. And the congestion when you do land, you just get off and go. How nice is that? But
It's very nice.
These
Yes.
global entry, tools are also available abroad, which is really great to our partner
But just to
countries.
clarify on that, so are you saying that if I'm flying to a global entry partner country, I can still use my global entry benefits?
It's a great question. So the answer is sometimes, and
Okay.
traditionally no, right? This is a U.S. program, so this is helping you enter the U.S. There are some available, kind of reciprocal programs out there. That is up to the partner country to adhere to and to start up. But yes, there are some partnerships that we have that a U.S. citizen, for instance, would be eligible with their membership of Global Entry to apply, but I can't speak for those other countries. Do your research, but there are some that exist, which are great.
Wonderful. So now, I do want to make sure that we address something very seriously. As we mentioned quite a few times during this hour, there are going to be a lot of people visiting the United States this year and next year. And there are a number of different apps that can be used, a number of different ways that we can facilitate a safer, quicker arrival into the United States. But one thing we do need to make sure of is that we let our visitors know that if they've received a visa, let's say about to be here for 90 days or what have you, they cannot overstay that 90-day period. So, Mr. Suarez, can you talk a little bit about how that works, and then, of course, if you have something to add, of course.
So, I mean, it's your term of mission. The visa, the 90-day tends to apply to visa waiver travelers. It's just the sectional law. That's what it's nothing more, nothing less than 90 days. That they say that if they, and then if you have a non-immigrant visa, the most common one is a B1, B2 visitor for business or pleasure visa, which can be a 90-day admission, but often a 180-day admission, right? So visa waiver cannot ask for more time. They have to leave. It's just black and white like that, cut and dry. Visas, if they do have to stay longer for whatever exigent circumstances, they can apply with U.S. Citizenship Immigration Services for additional time for that. If somebody were to stay beyond the time of admission and not ask for permission, they would be out of status and illegally present in the United States, so being an illegal alien, and they would be subject to removal, which is commonly known as deportation. In the case of ESTA, they can never come in under ESTA again. They would need to get permissions to apply for waivers and get a visa if they ever wanted to come back to the United States. For those who hold non-immigrant visas, your visa's automatically canceled. And again, you need certain permissions to come back to the United States. And all persons who are here legally are subject to removal at any point in time. Visa waiver, it's right there on the spot. It's a simple process because of there. The other non-immigrant ones would in many cases go before a immigration judge, but that can take a long time, involve detention. So there's a high risk, and we've been very active in the past 4 months, more than 4 months now, and in enforcing immigration law. So it's a serious risk that I recommend you do not take and stay within the time that we give you.
All right. Now, another question came in that the State Department addressed related to what we were just talking about. But the question was, when should I apply for a visa if I want to go to the United States for the World Cup next year? And the answer was, you can apply for your U.S. visa now. Demand to visit the United... Oh, excuse me. Not demand. We're not telling you to demand anything. Demand to visit the United States is high, and we screen every visa applicant thoroughly to uphold the highest standards of national security and public safety. So visit the website of the U.S. Embassy in your location to start the application. So basically what this means is that if you want a visa to visit the United States, to see the World Cup or the FIFA Club World Cup, go ahead and apply for that visa right now. And I would even venture to say, if you want to apply for Global Entry or NEXUS, which we didn't talk about a lot today, but if you want to apply for these programs, it's better to go ahead and do this now so you give yourself time.
Yes, absolutely. So there are requirements for all of our trusted traveler programs, right? But going back to the last question, it's trust. Trust is in this, right? So we trust you to do your due diligence and be honest and declare it, not overstay. There are requirements to not only be eligible, but obviously to maintain that membership, right? But yes, you are required to have a valid travel document. I mean, just the application itself, you're going to be asked your basic biographical information, all of your your information, like your passport document, what entry document you have, whether that's a visa, a passport, a permanent resident card, all of that you have to have that in order to apply. And then once that vetting process occurs, you will go for an in-person interview with a CBP officer at those various locations available, and that's where you're going to have to present it so we can verify that it's valid, that it's not expired, right? And that's where we would be able to give you more information. But for the easiest streamlined way possible to complete those, yes, make sure you already have your passport, your visa, your entry document into the US valid, ready to go before you apply, and of course during that interview for global entry.
Okay. So it looks like we have another question coming in, so I'm going to give that a chance to come in. So while we're waiting for that next question to come in, oh, there it is. Okay. So we have heard a lot of questions in with our next live. So we are looking at doing a chat soon on the hiring process. So I did want to plug that out there for those of you who are looking for careers within CBP. I'm probably young in the agency. I've only been with the agency a few months, and this is a great agency to work for. As you can see, there are a lot of different parts of CBP that you may not always realize. So that's what I think is really awesome about what we do. So just be looking for that next chat where we'll be talking about the hiring process. So I did want to plug that, but now I want to come back to you all. What is that one piece of advice? I know we talked about a lot today. What is that one piece of advice that you would give somebody who's planning on taking an international trip this summer? Because we know this is going to be a busy time.
Research, knowledgeable, read up on that, know the processes a little bit can go a long way. So me personally, when I travel abroad too, I like to kind of streamline and bring obviously the right things that you need to get through, whether it's that flight or long journey or whatever, but minimize where you can. That'll expedite your processing. But yeah, knowledge is key here.
And like Matt said, people don't think about the agriculture side of things and the food and the souvenirs, and you might be buying something and not realize that it's actually an agriculture product. So research goes into that. Look that up. Like I've already said, there's a Know Before You Go section on cbp.gov. Most of our regulations, we enforce USDA's regulation, which is the Department of Agriculture, Fish and Wildlife, CDC. So definitely reach out, look at those websites. We have links on our website that take you, depending on what kind of material you're bringing in. This would kind of give you an idea of what to prepare for and what isn't going to be allowed. So research, and if you don't know, declare. And one of the agricultural specialists will let you know.
There it is.
My advice would be take advantage of all of these different programs, right? Some of them cost money, but then there are some answers that maybe some credit cards will reimburse you. There's mobile passport control that is free of charge, right? There's all of these different options. Pick the program that's right for you, and if there is a barrier there, really think about what that barrier is and further research. Challenge yourself to get in there. I will say that global entry, right? We all love the program. If you have it, I think you know it, but if not, research it. We give you a global entry card that has additional benefits, not just for the land border, but it's also can be used at the TSA checkpoint. A lot of people don't realize this, right? But TSA has, I think, changed their requirements, right, for something called a real ID.
Yes.
And although we don't want to speak on behalf of TSA, we can confidently say that the global entry card can be used and is an acceptable form of documentation. So that's really helpful, right? So picking a program that works for you and just taking advantage of what's out there. I think that's the best advice I could give.
Absolutely. And if I could just reiterate the privacy aspect. We know that we have programs where people have to disclose some information, but we also want to make sure that people are confident that their private information is secured.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I care about that as well, right? Us as private citizens, we have families as well, and this is equal importance to us. CBP adheres to the very strict, privacy and data protection standards that exist. We encrypt all of the biometric information that I discussed, the photograph, right, the selfie. Sometimes fingerprints would be taken. All of that is encrypted and protected under our Department of Homeland Security privacy policies. So it's very important for us not only to maintain and encrypt and secure that, but also to be transparent about that. This is a voluntary program, global entry and trusted traveler programs. If you're not comfortable for it, there are other programs that that may work for you, but we do take privacy very seriously, and we're really good at it. So trust us to trust you to get, through this experience with both security and a streamlined way,
I think that's
At the
a
same time.
great way to end it. Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for just the great information that you shared today, and I'm hoping that those who were watching were able to get something out of this, because I know every time I do these chats I learn something new, so thank you for that. And I want to thank all of you. So that does it for the this edition of CBP Travel Chat, and we thank you for all of your questions, and we wish you the best on your travels. If we were unable to get to your question, please visit the CBP Information Center at www.help.cbp.gov. Thanks again, and have a safe summer.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Yeah, thank you
I
for
learned
having us.
something.